For our next episode, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Russell Impiazzi. He's the executive chef for Sofitel the Obelisk here in Dubai. He's been awarded recently the Guillemot Sustainability Champion of the Year, which is quite an accolade. He's also been nominated many times in the top 50 most influential chefs in the Middle East. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us, Russell. Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, listen, great to be here. Thanks for the invite. Much appreciated.
So going back to the beginning, that's the best place to start, isn't it?
Yep.
I believe that your culinary journey began when you were a teenager.
No,
Is that right?
much younger than that. I'm one of the lucky ones who've always known what they wanted to do. You know, I speak to my kids now who are going through the whole GCSE A-level journey, and we're having those conversations about what do you want to do, and they still don't know. So, you know, I refer back to my journey when I was 7 years old, and it was that light bulb moment at school. We made bread at school, and it just fascinated me, the whole process of flour, water, yeast, the smell, the aroma, and voila, bread. You know, and I just went home and said to my mum, I know what I want to be. I want to be a chef. And that was kind of where the journey started. So I kind of immersed myself really from a super young age and just followed the journey up. And to sit here nearly 30-something years later, you look back on what you've done and what you've achieved and what you've seen and the fantastic people you've met along the way. It's been an amazing journey. So, yeah, definitely a lucky one who really knew what he wanted. And, to sit here with a great career behind him has been super cool.
I'm sure it has, and there's dedication in there. So when you were a teenager, what was the first role that you did?
So
what was your first entrance into a kitchen?
Yeah, I did a work experience while I was at high school, which was amazing. My mum worked at the local, it was called the Woodford Moat House in Essex, which was amazing. And I got an opportunity to do 3 weeks work experience. I was 14. And that was it. That was game changer for me. That was it. They offered me a job at the weekends, so I did a Saturday, Sunday, and I did in the week as well, a Tuesday or Wednesday. So I was in. I was started. For me, that was it. School was secondary, but then I thought I've been at school for so long, I might as well get something from it. So I did all my exams and worked hard to get that done. But I finished my last GCSE on a Friday and stepped into my apprenticeship on the Saturday. So there was no break. It was straight through. And did a year's apprenticeship. I did a day release where you basically work 4 days a week and you do 1 day a week at college, which was amazing. But because I'd kind of been in it for a couple of years already, I found it quite easy. And it was a bit boring, to be honest. It was a bit of a pain to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, get the bus into college. And, you know, it was good because I connected with a few friends. I went to school, actually decided to go into catering as well. So that was good. But in the afternoon, you're sat in the theory bit, and it was always super hot, and you just find yourself, you look around, everyone was kind of the nodding off scenario. So we did it. It was fun, and I got my 7061, and then it was, what do I do now? I'd been in the Moat House for a year. It was amazing, great learning journey, really good team. In those smaller hotels, you learn the basics, which was really important for me, and they looked after me super well. But then it was time to go to London. London called, and my brothers at the time were working in a lovely little hotel in Knightsbridge called the Lounge, and
called the
Lounge, which was a Hyatt hotel at the time. So I went up. I met the two chefs, two Dutch boys, Sheila and Dennis, and again they just kind of took me under their wing, and it was amazing to see. It was an immediate step up straight away. You saw the difference in quality, presentation, styling, and you're in London. You know, that was super exciting as well. You're working with different nationalities. Who were all really great guys and girls, and really helped me on my journey because I was keen. You know, I didn't smoke, I didn't take a coffee break, I didn't take a lunch break. I was there to learn, and it was just a massive experience for me. I loved it, and we did 3 years in London, and then it was the opportunity to what do I do next? And I had an amazing lunch at Nicole and Dennis and 90 Park Lane, which was 3-star Michelin at the time. Spent a week's wages on lunch, as you do. And again, it just opened my eyes, that level of step up in just quality. I thought, I need to be here. I was 19 at the time. And on a Tuesday and Thursday back in London, the Evening Standard was the go-to read for jobs. And it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it just so happens it was the day after, just flicking through on the train home, the paper, 90 Park Lane's looking for commis chefs. Oh, so I applied, sent a nice cover letter and I applied. 3 days later, I got a phone call from the restaurant. Chef Nico would like to see you. I didn't in a million years expect to go and see Chef Nico. I thought maybe it was one of his sous chefs or HR lady, but he was there. So I walked into this beautiful restaurant, big green restaurant, and he sat at the back of the restaurant. And what an amazing guy! You know, we spent about an hour and I was a young chef. You know, he didn't need to
19.
spend that time with me, but we just had the most amazing conversation about food, his experiences, and then he started about the 3-star Michelin, the effort, the background, because I'd never had that on my CV, right? So he said, look, maybe it's a bit too soon for you. Why don't you go to my 1-star? Do a trial, have a look, see what you think. So I did it. I went to, it was in Victoria, I think, at the time. And I just got to the kitchen, and there was no, it was silence. It was silence. Guys, just absolutely focused. And the Lounge was a little bit more rock and roll, yeah, with the radio in the kitchen. There was always music going on. Talk about football, there was always banter. But this was silent. You know, these guys were focused and getting ready for lunch service. So, again, that was exciting. Anyway, I had an amazing day there. And then I got the phone call the next day. We'd love to offer you the job. You did a great job. When can you start? Amazing. But then I got a phone call from Sheila, who had left London, to the Hyatt Regency in Dubai about 6 months before. What do you think about Dubai? I said, where? Dubai? Where's that? It's in the Middle East. Okay, fine. Come out. I said, to do what? I said, come out, have a look, learn, and try something new, travel. So I said, look, I relayed the whole story about the whole Nico story. He went, still, come out. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's good for you to travel, blah, blah, blah. You can always go back to London. Which I thought, yeah, I probably always could do that. If I didn't do it then, I would never have done it. So I took a huge risk. I had, I think, 50 quid in my pocket. My mum slipped a bottle of ketchup and a toilet roll into my suitcase. And off I went to Dubai at 19, way back in 1996. So, but when I arrived in Dubai, obviously Dubai Airport was a very different place then. You know, and your first impressions were, what have I done? What have I done? This is... hot. It was the 27th of May 1996. I remember the date. So I got down the steps, walked through the airport, and Sheila was waiting for me there. And we went literally from the airport straight to work. Didn't even drop off in the accommodation, straight. So I said, look, I'm here to work. Let's go. So we went to the hotel, and it was this big 5-star hotel, beautiful. Again, so I thought, this is going to be exciting. And I did my first 14-hour day of many in the restaurant there. So that was kind of how I ended up here. And I was just hooked really from day one, because obviously in a smaller hotel, you're kind of doing the same thing every day to a great standard, enjoyed it. But when you're in a big hotel with multi-restaurants, where we were in the Italian restaurant, behind us was the Indian kitchen. And then we had the Iranian kitchen downstairs and the Japanese as well, plus the big banquet operation. And just the flavours, the noise, the different nationalities, the personalities. You know, it was every day was really a different flavour for me, and I just loved it and worked incredibly hard there. And then we had the opportunity to move over to the Pyramids at Wafi, which was a huge change, because it was the first independent restaurant complex in Dubai. It'd never been done before. Everything was always in hotels. So as an independent, it was brand new, and it was exciting, and it was an opening, super creative, great bunch of people again. And it was successful from day one. You know, we really nailed it. And then over the course of the next 10 years, my career really grew in the Pyramids. We took it from 5 restaurants to 18 across the region. I ended up as exec chef there as well, and had an amazing team with about 140 staff. And I love the fact that it was so diverse, and it was all, if you look back at the history of the Dubai food scene of the last 25 years, they were the original homegrown restaurants. You know, we created all the concepts and content from really our own imaginations, and a really talented bunch of chefs that was there at the time, and we had an amazing team, and we achieved pretty good stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the nutshell of how I got here, and obviously at Sofitel the Obelisk now. Wafi has been a big part of my career for the last 20 years, I guess. So when the opportunity arose to come back to take care of the Obelisk, it was let's do it. Amazing.
It's an incredible story. I mean, from those initial days of talking to Chef Nico when he was offering you a job in his Michelin-starred restaurant, to now, last year, picking up the Goy Mio Sustainability Champion of the Year. It's a fascinating journey, but what made you go on to the journey of sustainability? I
don't think it was anything intentional. It's always been ingrained since I was a kid, really. Just do the right thing. You know, it's... And as chefs, you're taught not to waste. So it's just amplifying that message of your own personal values into, if you can help, you should help. And every step of the journey has been trying to find opportunities to do things a little bit better, and making sure the team you're I guess, nurturing and developing, understand the impact that we have as chefs, how we can create that positive change. And the sustainability champion, what is that? It's great to have, but I think the bigger picture for me is that you've got these big global awards recognitions are actually taking it seriously and are actually saying, look, sustainability is a key part as we move forward with the Green Star as well from Michelin. I think it's great that it's being spoken about, and it's mainstream, which it should be, way overdue. And the fact that it's still on the agenda and rising up that agenda, I think is a powerful thing.
And I mean, how big a part do you think the hospitality industry and restaurants have to play in being better, for want of a better expression? You know,
look, the reality is that our industry is getting better, but it's inherently not good, right? In terms of the energy we use, the water consumption we use, the food that we use, there are ways to be better, and I think it's really taking a step back and looking at ourselves over the past, I guess, 50, 60 years of how hospitality and industry itself and how the food scene has changed. We've made mistakes along the way, that's for sure, but it's finding ways to do it better. And obviously that's what we've worked really hard in the last 3 years, where we are to find the opportunities. And some of them really are no-brainers. You don't really have to think too much about it. You just got to do it. And it wasn't anything massively intentional. It was just, okay, we can do that. We can do that. If we took recycling, for example, was the first thing I looked at. How much do we recycle? Well, not enough, clearly, because I see the bins overflowing with plastic, cardboard, and we're not doing anything with it. So super lucky to have an incredible chief steward, Gaston, and we said, look, what can we do? So now we have a chap who goes through every single bin coming from guest rooms, who just does a segregation. Now, we don't have to do that, but we choose to do that because it's the right thing to do. And there's any number of these unsung heroes going through this segregation, because without proper segregation, you can't recycle, you can't do something positive with that waste. And the same thing comes to our food waste. How we've worked over that the last couple of years. We weigh everything. I think the data is super important. I know when you put a computer in front of chefs, sometimes it's another thing to do, because we're not really, part of our psyche is to sit in front of a computer. We want to be doing stuff with our hands. And but when we first started, we really analysed the data. I thought we were doing a good job, but when you see your numbers, it's wow. We are clearly way off the mark here. So it's just finding those small wins that you can just get every day just a little bit better. And we've made real progress over the past couple of years with it. So it's use your data. It's so important.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Data is key, and especially when it comes to food waste reduction. Knowing what's going to waste and knowing where you need to, with buffets and brunches specifically. Yeah. I think that can be a game changer in the industry that you're in. I know, for example, you've introduced things at Sofitel the Obelisk, such as plant-powered Wednesdays and no-bin Mondays. Is that initiatives
we
you
do that
brought
a couple
in?
of days a week now, no-bin. So the first day we did it was... The employee restaurant's probably our most important restaurant, right? It's the place where we engage with our team, and if your team are well-fed, well-hydrated, they're going to hopefully perform a little bit better and be happier. At the end of the day, we talk about sustainability. For me, it's the whole holistic approach to food and people, and making sure that our people are well looked after and they're happy at work. We spend a lot of time together, and it's creating that great culture within the team that you want to be here, we want to do something right here, but the least we can do is feed you properly. We don't get it right all the time. I'm under no illusions there, but we do our best. But we've got 450 employees, so that's a lot of food. We provide 3 meals a day plus something overnight, so it's all produced in-house. And it was if you look at the waste at the end, where the team were, and you can take what you want, right? That's fine. So we started off with a take what you want, but eat what you take mantra. Then we took the big plates out, put small plates in, and then it's how you lay your buffet out and making sure that you've kind of got your rice at the beginning, and your vegetables, and the meat comes at the end. So hopefully by the end of the line, I don't want any more on my plate. So we started with that kind of mindset, and then it was, okay, look, waste is a problem. They're loading up, fine, no problem, but eat it. So I took the bin away just once to see what would happen. It was chaos, but I love a little bit of chaos. And then so okay, let's. And it was, what do I do with it? So you got half a plate of food there. Sit back down and eat it, and okay, chef, okay. And it was and it was good to see them actually sit down and do it and realise, okay, the penny's dropped here. I've taken too much food, and you don't take it for granted that there's always going to be food in front of you, right? And that's a big part of the theory and ethos as well is don't take it for granted, because food is a big, special, precious commodity, right? I think sometimes we all take it for granted. So now we do it a couple of days a week, and you just see your waste drop by half.
Of course.
And the plant-powered Wednesday is a vegetarian day. Again, the first day I did it, it was chef, where's the chicken? Chicken's in the fridge, brother. You ain't got eat the vegetables. And that it was a bit of a challenge the first couple of weeks, but now it's becoming the most popular days of the week. So it's you've got to start your journey somewhere, and creating change is a journey, and it's that behaviour change piece. And when we started a couple of years ago, I wrote a bit of a vision and mission statement that is how we work, the way we work, and what we're trying to achieve. And that's all across the hotel. So you can't do it on your own unless you have the support of the entire hotel, who have been absolutely amazing, really. Then you're going to struggle. So it's constant messaging, feeding into the team, the how and the why, sharing the baseline, sharing the wins, but also amplifying the losses a little bit. We can do better here and there. And we talk about it a lot. It's top of the agenda in most briefings we talk about. It's daily. And unless it's daily, and unless it becomes part of the culture of the team, it's going to be difficult to achieve any kind of success, especially when it comes to waste reduction. But no, they're an amazing bunch. So it's great to see the progress we've made.
And also, I think this whole process of leading by example. If everybody isn't involved, then how are you going to achieve? But it's just a little anecdote from my behalf to share. But what you were saying about taking the bins away and then telling everybody to go and sit down and just finish eating it. I remember when I was at school, and I will never forget it, asking what the pie was in the canteen, and they said it was chicken and mushroom, which was my favourite. So I asked for a large, and it ended up being steak and kidney, which I really did not like. And I had to sit and finish it. The whole school left the dining room, and I was still sat there. And, the whole ideology behind this many years ago was, well, if you've ordered it, you need to eat it. Whereas now I think we've moved so far away from that in many areas of life, where we take it for granted.
The convenience of food, I think, as well, has been massively damaging. If you look back when food was industrialised, 50, 60, more, 70 years ago, bigger, faster, quicker, cheaper. And that has really broken the food system, if you really think about it. You go to any major supermarket brand, especially back in the UK, everything is done for you. You don't have to cook anymore. But you think about the amount of packaging, the amount of energy used to produce those packaging, the trucks on the road to get the logistics arranged. And we're losing that connection with great ingredients, these ultra-processed, highly salted, sugary things. We need to really address that, I think, as an industry, as a society, and really fall back in love with what real food is and what real ingredients are. Because food brings joy. It doesn't matter if you had a bad day, you get a good piping hot meal, no matter what it is. And if you've cooked it yourself, that little bit of satisfaction that I've spent 10 minutes away from doing whatever I need to do and just focusing on feeding myself something that's decent, that's huge. And it's something that you should never take for granted, even if it's beans on toast, it doesn't matter, right? You've made it yourself. You've made the effort. Start the job. Okay, now maybe I can do maybe a nice fresh single pasta dish, or maybe I'll buy some vegetables this week. And, when we go out as a family, the kids come shopping with us, and it's making sure that they understand what fresh food looks like. And, it's so important that we change and move away from this convenience lifestyle, because it's this throwaway mentality that has caused quite a lot of damage, actually, when you really think about how we've behaved over the past 15, 20 years, when everything's got a bit easier for us.
I mean, it's frightening. I mean, you referenced the UK there. When I go back to the UK sometimes in the summer, you go into the supermarkets, and it's actually almost impossible to get fruit and vegetables that aren't wrapped in plastic. It's so difficult. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I have a local farm shop near my house where I am able to go, and I have that luxury, and it is a little bit more expensive. But the good thing I think about the UAE is that you can go into supermarkets here, and you can buy nearly all of your your fruits and vegetables. You can go to the fruit and vegetable market, or you can just go to the supermarkets and get them without plastic packaging. But going local as well, because now obviously there's a lot more local produce on offer in the supermarkets here, which is fantastic to see. How much do you try and source locally, and do you think that's
I think
a better solution?
It's the first place we look. Obviously, being lucky to be here for so long, you kind of a little bit more about what's available, and the whole seasonality aspect of what is available. We buy probably, when I first started, we looked at the whole purchasing, it was maybe 10%, now up to 30%, because it's, again, the whole team now understand the importance of doing it. We go out, and we're going to go out this month as well, down to to Green Heart Organic Farm, which is the happy place for me. It's beautiful down there. But the chefs have to understand what is on our doorstep. And when you get chefs coming in from overseas who will only buy their San Marzano tomatoes from Italy, it's try these ones here that are grown 45 minutes up the road. They're delicious, super sweet. And 9 times out of 10, you'll change that perception. But you've got to get out, you've got to try it and really understand what is out there. And it's across all of our restaurants, and the hotel is understanding what's local, what's great. Has to taste great. Flavour rules, as I always say. Flavour comes first in whatever we do. So there's no point telling a great story if it's not delicious. But by and large, what we do buy, and especially the local stuff, it absolutely ticks all those boxes. It's about finding that balance, isn't it? It's understanding what is local, what's available in the volumes that we need, and then also being mindful of what we're buying and what we're importing. It's the hormone-free, antibiotic-free, mass-produced rubbish is not something that we're interested in. It's not something I'd feed my kids. It's not something I want to feed my guests. So it's taking that time to making sure you are sifting through all of that mass-produced, especially when it comes to meat. There's so much meat in the market, and there's some really, really great stuff out there, but it's quite price-driven. And at some point, the ultimate price is continues to do that. The ultimate point we're going to play is where we're at today in terms of the whole global warming and the climate crisis that we're in, and the impact of aggressive farming and the role that plays. So making sure that where we buy and who we buy from is just as important as the local stuff.
Yeah, of course, and the impact that the livestock industry has on the planet is something that we can't hide from anymore. Yeah. I mean, the links to deforestation and the water usage and the pollution and the CO2 emissions and the methane and
the list goes on. The list goes on. Yeah.
I want to take a little step back from this, and I want to ask you. I know that after this, for example, you're going and you're working with the UAE Food Bank. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and why you're involved in that and what you've achieved?
Yeah. So this started back in London. I was in London in 2020. Obviously during the pandemic, and we were one of only 3 hotels that were actually open. We had government dispensation. There you go, speak words there, Russell. That was allowed to open because we were next door to St Mary's Hospital, one of the biggest hospitals in London, and of course, they needed somewhere to stay, so we had all the key workers staying with us. We had a 1,000-room hotel. We had plenty of space. So we did a great job making sure that they were well fed and hydrated, and that was a whole journey for another conversation. That what we managed to achieve through that. I think the team were incredible. When hospitality really stands up to support its community, it's a powerful thing, and we saw that especially when the team in London, they were amazing. But also because hospitality had shut down, things still grow. There's still livestock needs to be processed, and there's still stuff in freezers that will expire. So before we knew that the lockdown was coming, we knew it was coming. We went through all the fridges, freezers, dry stores, and there's a food bank in Paddington, only small, and they were supporting maybe 50, 60 families every week, which shocked me already that 50, 60 families are 100% reliant on the food bank. So we just took loads. We took a couple of bootfuls of hot chocolate, coffee, tea, biscuits, and tin stuff. And we took loads. It was a lot. And then you saw the need grow. So I think within a space of 3 weeks, only 300 families were reliant on this one food bank. And then we were kind of introduced to a couple other partners who were trying to do the right thing around the country. And they wanted storage for airplane meals. Obviously, there were no planes flying. There was tens of thousands of meals that needed storing and redistributing. This was in the Midlands. I said, look, I can't help you there, but what can we do in London? So they connected us with the Felix Project, who great charity, who basically go around all the suppliers, farmers, or whatever, and they consolidate and they send it to guys like me who produce volumes, who had the ability to produce volumes. So I said yes on the Monday. On the Tuesday, there was a ton of produce in our loading bay. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a ton of fresh produce. It's a lot.
I can imagine.
And obviously we had boys and girls on furlough at the time, and it was great to get them back in because you're kind of worried about how they're coping at home on their own. So it was great to get the team back and engaged, and it was like there's about 6 or 7 of us just walking around for about an hour of all this stuff, looking what we had, and it was random as hell. But anyway, we did it, and I think our first run was nearly 1,000 meals, and it kind of started from there. You realise just how much surplus that there is in the market, and by the time by the time I left, that was up to nearly 27,000 meals, and they're still doing it today. So I think kudos to them for carrying it on. So obviously when I came back, that was very fresh in my mind. And I went to one of our suppliers who knew I was back, wanted to show me all the new stuff and whatever. And I walked into this big cold storage unit, it was huge, that said, do not use, rejected, for whatever reason. So I started having a nose. What's wrong with this tomato? What's wrong with this banana? Wrong shape, wrong colour, wrong size. We've ordered too much. I said, but it tastes great, right? Yeah. So what are you going to do with it? Are we going to dispose of it? I said, no, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. Send it to me. So, and fair play to them, they did. And that's kind of how the journey started, what we do now. So the whole narrative is around reducing waste. If it's at risk of waste, send it to me. I get people wanting to donate stuff because they've got it, but it's perfectly good and they can probably sell it. That's not what this is about. It's about reducing waste and making sure we take that potential negative scenario and do something positive with it. So if you've got, 300 kilos of chocolate that's going to expire in 2 months' time, send it to me and we'll make chocolate bars, as we have done with Verona. I've been a huge supporter. And the suppliers get it. It was a bit of a hard sell to start with, but I can be quite convincing when I need to be. So it was, and every month we've been doing it consistently. So, we got another one going out today. We'll do 1,000 meals today. So yeah, it's a great journey. We do it once a month.
You do it once a month. And where does the food go?
It goes to the food bank, are a great partner, who have been super supportive of us, and they kind of tell us what they have as well. So they will send us product too. So we're going on to Alcuz this afternoon.
Okay.
So we'll go with them today as well to kind of see. I think when you hand someone a meal and you see the appreciation that they wasn't expecting, it's a powerful thing as well. And it's great to take the team out to do this with us, because they also see that it's not chef being a pain and demanding, and we're going to do this. It's hugely rewarding for the team to get it, and so we'll keep doing it until we don't, but we're always going to do it.
So, it sounds like you've used your position quite a lot over the years to help those in need. You've also been involved with the Pink Brigade to raise awareness about breast cancer. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's 10 years. 10 years since we've been doing this. So a very good friend of mine, Chef Robbie Stokes, he's back in England now. His wife was struggling with breast cancer. Fierce lady, amazing. And to understand that journey they went through as a family. And it's my wife actually was friends with Claire. Kids were the same age, and I didn't really know Robbie that well, so we got to know each other. Top guy. To see his journey as well, it was incredibly brave. So he started doing chef jackets just to raise a bit of awareness. So we kind of got together. We did a big event, which was amazing, and it kind of grew from there. So it was how could we help more, and just to get the chef community engaged in raising awareness. And it's all very much inspired by Claire and her journey, and how brave they were as a family, really. And I think from a legacy piece, we just continue to do it. And it's great to see the chefs come together every year wearing their pink aprons and their jackets, and it's a powerful thing, because it's such a small gesture, but you realise just how many people have been affected by this awful disease. Cancer in one way, shape or form will affect, I think the stats are 1 in 8, right, which is scary. So, but early detection really does help, right, especially when it comes to breast cancer. So that's the message we do every year. And every year I'm kind of a little bit nervous of doing it, because you never know just what the reaction people are going to buy into it again, because we've been doing it for so long. But every year it's the support was huge, and I'm truly appreciative of that, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. I asked for a little bit of a donation that goes to the Pink Caravan, who are amazing. They go around doing free screening across the UAE, and we've done a number of things with Pink Caravan over the years, and kudos to them. But we'll keep supporting as long as I can, really. And we've had great support from Bragar and Renai, who they never say no, which also is huge, because without the right support and partners, you just can't do it. So they also get it and understand why we're doing it. It's once a year. It's a strong message, and that chef community thing, it's especially in Dubai, it's a special thing. We'll kind of know each other. We don't get together often enough because we're all so busy, but when we do, it's always a good time. And whenever one of us need a bit of help or a bit of support, it's always there, which is great to see. And the hotel's been amazing as well. It's every year they wear their pink aprons, and say, "Chef, why are we doing this?" Then you explain again the how and the why. Done. Let's do it. And it's great to see.
No, well, I think it's marvellous, and I love the fact that you as a chef, you're using your position to raise awareness and fight the good fight for many causes, breast cancer as well as the climate. But if you let me go and ask, I'd like to just kind of move away and ask some questions that perhaps our audience would be interested to hear from you. So, if you're on a desert island and you could only have one ingredient, what would it be? It obviously needs to be quite versatile.
Ketchup. There you go, ketchup.
I was not expecting
because I'm
that.
thinking that there's salt in the sea, there's coconuts, I would hope somewhere, so you got that. So ketchup, there you go, ketchup. Love it.
You're gonna have your
Big ketchup fan. Dirty little secret there, ketchup.
Well, I mean, you didn't you say all those years ago your mum
Yes,
put a bottle
yeah,
of ketchup in
she
your
knew,
suitcase?
She knew, yeah.
I've never would have imagined that a chef of your level would be like, no, this is the one ingredient you need.
Homemade chips with ketchup, beautiful.
Yeah, no, I've got to say, ketchup is pretty good.
Yeah.
My children would agree with you. Okay, and do you have a signature dish?
There's been loads over the years, right? And you could go all chefing, so I have a beautiful hand-dyed scallop with white truffle butter and artichoke puree, blah, blah, blah. But I don't cook that often, really, that dish. And there's been loads, but for me, a signature dish is what's personal to you and what's perhaps most meaningful. And if I look back growing up as a kid, it was probably every week or at least every second Saturday, my mum would make a spaghetti bolognese. My dad was a big pasta fan. That was Italian in him. So I do that with my kids a lot. You know, it's what they don't know is there's probably about 70% vegetables in there and only 30% meat, but I guess they do now. But it's making those family meals for me is so important because it was such an important part of my childhood growing up. You know, I'm one of 5 children, so food was a massive thing in our house, and I get that. Yeah, I look back at childhood memories, and it's generally around the dinner table at some point, whether it's a Sunday roast coming over from football covered in mud, but you'd always smell the dinner cooking. And my mum was an amazing cook, and there was always home cooked food. And I guess that spag bowl on a Saturday night, I think it was a Blind Date, was usually on the telly, if you remember that one.
Yeah,
going back
I
a
do.
few years, right?
Cilla Black.
There you
yes.
go. And so yeah, it's that spag bowl family dinner, and they all love it. So that for me is a special personal dish for me. So if I say probably not the answer she was expecting, but that's what I like to cook.
Well, no, I mean we like answers that are not what people are expecting. Yeah. I have to say, when I was a child, and this is way before I was a vegetarian, I would remember my mum cooking lasagna on a Saturday night. It was my favourite dish. Like her lasagna was the best. And since turning vegetarian, I have missed that lasagna. But anyway, so if you could cook for somebody, past or present, who would it be?
I think it's tough to just say one person, right? Because if you're going to cook a dinner, you want conversation, right? Because that's always the fun part. You want people laughing. You want a little bit of controversy in there as well, I guess. I think Winston Churchill would be an interesting one to have around the table, right?
Very interesting and very controversial.
And then I'd like to see probably maybe Liam Gallagher's got some good stories in there as well. A few laughs, probably the late great Robin Williams would also be fun. I guess my wife's got to be there at some point too. And again, football fan, Sir Kenny Dalglish. I think you got a nice diverse mix of people there, and I reckon we'd have a laugh.
Can I be invited, please? That sounds like an awesome table.
There you go. No problem.
Between Liam Gallagher and Robin Williams, Winston Churchill. Okay, and do you have a food hero?
Again, not really. I think everyone has played such an important part of my career today. You know, if I look back when I was, 9, 10, 11, it was Delia Smith on the TV every week was kind of my go-to. Easy watching, and I got it. She made it look so easy. And then all the chefs I've worked with really over the years have kind of impacted my life in one way, shape or form. So it's difficult to say a food hero per se. Obviously, the 90s was all about Marco P.Y. and everybody wants to be the next Marco. Total legend, of course. Nico was great. That 1 hour with him, changed my whole perception on a lot of things. And then, of course, the impact your family plays. My nan was a great cook. My mum was an amazing cook, and spending time together as a family kind of impacted, a big part of my decision-making process when it comes to food and what wholesome food looks like. So, yeah, lots of heroes along the way.
Do you have vegetarian days or vegan days at home?
We do, yeah. We again, not really intentional, which is by default, I guess, because it's quicker to cook vegetables, and a simple pasta dish with vegetables is amazing. My daughter, we went out on on Saturday. I've come home and she's making a beautiful tomato pasta. I love that. Amazing to see. So yeah, we probably eat meat twice a week, and the rest of it is kind of your pastas, your rice dishes, and easy stuff. But again, all wholesome, freshly cooked stuff.
So, I mean, as a society, there's probably a lot of things that we're doing wrong when it comes to food. What would you say is probably the worst or maybe the easiest that we could fix?
I think all of it is fixable. It's the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis is really going to change the narrative. Waste is one of the probably easiest things to really look at and address. At the end of the day, we decide to throw things away. It's no one's forcing us. Waste is a choice. I heard somebody say once, and it's absolutely right. It's an easy one to fix. How we plan our menus, how we plan our content, our ordering, but it starts at home and to making sure that we're not buying too much. Go to the shops a little bit more often. Buy fresher. These are easy lifestyle changes that I think we can make. And obviously, back at the Obelisk, it's one of those things that we really look into. Our ordering patterns are crucial. We spend time on it. It's important to understand that. Do I need to do a one big bulk order once a week when I know that I can probably, especially the local stuff, is available 2 or 3 times a week? Yes, you got the carbon footprint of vehicles on the road at some point, but it's also, for me, the waste is the easiest thing to control. Just by being smart with how we buy things and how we use ingredients. And then it comes to how we write our menus and what content we create, and ensuring that, we are having that vegetable conversation, where it's coming from, and be mindful about our plant-based content. If we look at the whole veganism for the last 10 years, it's got a pretty bad rap, unfortunately. If you speak to, especially 5 or 6 years ago, you speak to chefs about the vegan narrative, it was always a negative connotation. Which is fundamentally wrong. We need to open our minds up to what the argument is, and really embracing incredible vegetables as part of our menu setup, and perhaps changing the way we plate our food, and having those wonderful plant proteins and vegetables in the middle of the plate that's with meat as the garnish. Start there. If we look at our diets as a whole, we're still incredibly meat-centric, but I think that's a generational thing. I think that's not going to go away overnight. But how we, and the responsibility as restaurateurs, chefs, and hospitality have, is the content we create, and more importantly, the story we tell, but the flavours that we create is also so important. Like I say, there's no point telling a great story. It doesn't taste great. It's got to taste amazing. We go back to last year, and one of the things that was amazing for us was the Youth X competition that we won last year that was part of Golf Food and Golf Host. It was and a great initiative, and I love seeing this really championing young chefs. So it was a competition of chefs under 30 across. It's broken down to different categories. You've got the heats, and then the semi-final, final. So we were against 14 of the top 5-star hotels in Dubai, and the brief was chefs under 30 with a sustainable, minimal approach, understanding what Dubai food is. So great start already. So we put a team together, really, really junior guys. We're perhaps my most junior out of the whole competition, actually, but they believed in it because we talk about it a lot. So it was really making sure that they really understood the brief and they understood the content, and then more importantly, they made great flavours. So anyway, won the whole thing. It was amazing, and to see a team of young chefs really rise to the challenge of creating what I thought was truly zero waste food, and it really was zero waste. And being smart, how to use a broccoli stem, how to use cauliflower stalks, how to use cauliflower leaves, the impact of a simple ingredient like black garlic, what that does to flavour, the tomato peel, the skin, the seeds, the whole thing. And I love seeing that in Dubai, because I think we can create change here. If Dubai says we're going to do something, you'll see it happen, and I love that, and that's what makes it exciting. And we talk about the food waste reduction goals by 2030 by 50%. By hook or by crook, we'll get there. Because I love the will of the government initiatives, and already you're seeing big properties and big hotels and smaller properties actually really buying into how we can really reduce our waste. Not just because we've been set a target, it's because now we want to, we choose to. Before, if you go back 5 or 6 years ago, you had all the big brands releasing their green credentials, but no real roadmap of how they're going to do it. But that's changed now. And if I look at particularly what we do, we're very clear in our vision of how we want to work and what we want to achieve as a hotel and as a team, more importantly. So those competitions, I think, that really target I guess, the junior team, because their food story will be very different to what mine was. When I was growing up and cooking in the 80s and 90s, it was there was a little bit. You wouldn't use the green part of the leeks; that goes straight into the stock pot, right? But now it's use the whole damn thing, and it's making sure that our chefs understand and they start changing their mindset, especially Commis 1s, Commis 2s, chef de parties. They need to know that every part of the ingredient is important. How do we utilise that better? And we're getting there. We're getting there. So the next generation of chefs, I hope, they're very much part of the future of food and how it evolves.
And I mean, you've talked a lot about zero waste and zero waste ingredients and creating dishes that are zero waste. Do you have zero waste dishes on your menus at some of the
they
restaurants?
pop up, but it's how to utilise all the ingredients. How to use so today our food bank donations today example, our breakfast buffets generally will create most waste in hotels. So we changed ours about a year and a half ago and reduced our waste by 40%.
How did you do that?
Again, we used our data. We looked at what people were eating, but more importantly, what they weren't eating. So you had this perception of what a breakfast buffet should be, that's ingrained in you. And really, when you analyse your data, 50% of it people aren't eating. Might look great, might look rich, but wow. But really, does it taste great? No, because you don't get much budget for breakfast. Which we've managed to change that narrative a little bit as well. So there's a little bit more funds to buy better quality, more local produce, more vegetable dishes, and it's just tastier. Just start there, make it taste great. If you've only got 5 or 6 things, but those 5 or 6 things are absolute winners, it's enough food. So yeah, we've done that journey, but you're still going to generate it. So if we're making French toast, we're making crepes, pancakes, waffles, whatever, we keep that. If it hasn't gone out guest facing and we keep it in the hot box or the fridge, we keep that and we'll store that for a month in the freezer, and then we'll blend it all up and have this beautiful base. So we mix that with a creme brulee mixture, we'll set it, and we got donated a load of mango puree. So we've basically done a set dessert that's based on French toast, waffles, pancakes, crepes, creme brulee, which is delicious, and then we just set that and with a little bit of mango puree on top. It's amazing.
Perfect
so you
dessert.
can do it. You can do it. The tomatoes that are cooked for breakfast that don't go out, freeze them, and that will become a butter chicken sauce that we use for a food bank. So all these things are easy to do, but you've got to want to do it. So, and the more you can get your team involved in what you're doing and telling the story and showing them tips and tricks of how to really repurpose food and upcycle, it should be part of mainstream how we teach, not just young chefs, but our kids as well.
Absolutely. Russell, it's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope it all goes well at the food bank later on today. And you are an inspiration to many chefs across the UAE. I hope that they will listen and take some of the strategies that you're putting in place at Obelisk, the Sofitel, the Obelisk in place, and follow in your footsteps.
Amazing.
Thanks for taking the time to be here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.